Karen had never understood boundaries, and it seemed every day she found new ways to test mine. One morning, I discovered that she, or one of her overzealous HOA officers, had intruded on my property without permission. They had wandered onto my land, measuring, inspecting, and claiming authority they did not possess. This was no longer just a petty dispute. It was a blatant violation of my rights as a property owner. At first, I observed quietly, noting every detail. Where they entered, the paths they used, the time they spent. Every intrusion was evidence. Every step they took a record of entitlement and negligence. I knew that responding impulsively could create legal complications, so I prepared meticulously. I blocked their access points, reinforced boundaries, and ensured that every approach they made in the future would be both obvious and documented. This wasn't vengeance, it was strategy, a demonstration of control and awareness. Karen, of course, didn't understand the gravity of her overreach. She continued to assert that her HOA had authority over my property, sending letters and threats claiming violations that existed nowhere but in her imagination. She assumed I would cower, that I would comply, and that she could bend reality to her will. But I didn't just block them out physically. I began constructing a fortress of legal protection around every inch of my land. Every fence, camera, and barrier was backed by statutes, deeds, and precedent. Karen's intrusion had inadvertently triggered a complete reevaluation of how my property was secured. Her response was predictable. Karen escalated, sending more officers, making louder threats, and involving the HOA board in her personal vendetta. Each attempt, however, was meticulously countered. I documented their arrivals, recorded their conversations, and responded with calm, precise legal notices. The HOA had no standing to enter my property without consent, and I ensured they knew it. By the time they tried to step onto my land again, every officer who followed her orders was met not with confrontation, but with irrefutable authority backed by law and evidence. Neighbors began to notice the shift. Karen's previous image as the all-powerful HOA president began to erode as it became clear she had crossed lines she did not understand. The narrative was changing. I wasn't the problem, she was. Every unauthorized intrusion, every overreach, every illegal action was now visible to anyone paying attention. Karen had unknowingly built a case against herself simply by assuming her authority extended where it clearly did not. By the end of that week, her intrusion attempts had ceased. Not because she had admitted fault, but because she realized, too late, that she was powerless against someone prepared, knowledgeable, and unflinching. Blocking her access wasn't merely physical. It was symbolic. It represented the assertion of rights, the enforcement of boundaries, and the establishment of respect she had long refused to offer anyone. And so, the lesson became clear not just for Karen, but for anyone who believed entitlement could override law, preparation, and reason. Violating another person's property invites consequences far beyond a warning or a reprimand. Karen's inability to recognize this, combined with her arrogance, had set the stage for one of the many lessons in the ongoing saga. That overreach and entitlement, when met with vigilance and strategy, will always be their own undoing.